Aziz, I've known you for a very long time, but this is clearly a really difficult time for you given what's happening in the Middle East. You'll
It is.
remember that we drank coffees together in Dubai the first time we met, and we talked about life and the universe and found we got a lot in common back then. And I think we have a lot in common now. We're both grieving.
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell me something about Mejdi and why you set that company up with Scott and what you do?
Yeah. First, it's always good to see you, my friend. And not only did we drink coffee together, you've also invited me to your house, which I'm very grateful to have visited. Mejdi was started exactly because of what we see happening in the world of conflicts and division. Scott Cooper, a Jewish friend of mine, and I were working in conflict resolution and decided we need to use an industry that brings people together to spread this message of peace and coexistence and understand there are more perspectives than only one. So we founded Mejdi, which means respect, honor, about now 13, 14 years ago. And we did something crazy. We decided instead of having one tour guide in a place like Jerusalem, to have two tour guides, one Israeli and one Palestinian, to work together, guide together, bring both perspectives, whether it's an ancient history, current history, politics, culture, art, whatever it is they're talking about, they're bringing the two different perspectives, and slowly it took off. And since then, we've been working in a couple dozen other countries doing similar work.
So I know you've been doing it in, for example, Northern Ireland, which is an area of Britain where we've had similar long-term animosity between communities. These things take generations, perhaps hundreds of years to move away from. Now,
Can I tell you about Northern Ireland? Because I was there just recently on a tour, and the guides we now get in Northern Ireland are people you can't believe they're working together. Like, I have a former IRA fighter who her uncle was killed in Bloody Sunday. And I got on the other side, somebody who became her best friend, pretty much, who is a unionist who spent 5 years in prison for a bombing he did. And they both take us on a tour in Derry, Londonderry, explaining both perspectives. We meeting people who have very strong views on both sides. And so honestly, there's a lot of similarities to a place like Israel and Palestine in the sense of there's still so much division. There's still
so
so
much
much
hatred.
segregation, hate. Yeah.
You and I have discussed this many times, and I don't want to spend long on it today, but I'm very skeptical of what Mark Twain has to say about travel and broadening the mind. You put me right each time we discuss this. But what's
Yes.
the sense of it now, Aziz?
I think it's in the darkest times that you need those voices that says no to hatred, no to anger, no to fear. It's in the darkest times that we need something hopeful. And so I look at our guides who work together. It's a community. And now when everybody is angry and full of hate, they talking to each other. I look at people I work with, at communities that we meet when we travel to Israel and Palestine, and they are talking and working with each other. And to me, that's a success. But I also look at our travelers. I'm getting so many messages of support from our travelers, some of whom are Jewish, some of whom are Muslim, some of whom are Christian. They're not falling for the coverage that says you must hate. They're not falling for that. And I think I give it to the tours that made them understand there's more complexity than you see on television, many of whom are donating money to causes for both Jews, Palestinians, and that to me is a proof that the concept does work. The challenge, which is where I agree with you, I think, is how do we make this a bigger, like I see now some people who work in travel who have converted their social media platform to being completely spreading propaganda. And how do we convince more and more people to travel the way we travel? That is our challenge, because it's not enough that we do it. It's not enough that 2, 3, 4 companies doing it. It needs to be a change in the industry, not a change of only one company.
One of the things I remember us talking about in the in the evening dusk in Dubai all those years ago was about the importance of respect as a value and of making meaningful connections between tourists and the hosts and the communities that they're visiting. And that too often that is still missing from the international travel industry. Yeah, just a voyeurism rather than a real connection. And that's where the problem lies. If we could do more of that, we could make more progress in helping people to understand the complexity of the world and why traveling with a willingness to listen to the other person is so important.
To engage with another person. I was in Egypt working on a project recently, and I was talking to some companies, tour companies, big ones. And I said, we need to bring people voices into this trip. We do so much Egyptology. We visit 1 million temples. And I'm like, I love archaeology and I'm tired by the end of it. Why don't we bring human voices, which is what we do now for our tours? And what they kept telling me, it's not broken, why fix it? People love to visit temples. Why do I need to complicate my work? Why do I need to bring people and deal with humans? Let them just go to the temples. Why are you trying to do this? And that's, I think, still to so many of our colleagues is a mindset. Let's just let them go and see. It's working, it's selling. We're not going to fix it until somebody forces us to.
Yeah, well, we need to find ways of encouraging change. Aziz, were you telling me that you had travelers actually in the region when all this kicked off?
Oh yeah, we had 60 some people in the region, multiple tours, people who are in the middle, the end, and people who just were arriving for their tours. We had, fortunately, our team, we've been prepared for a possibility of something like this happening. And it's really important if you work in a region that is volatile to be prepared. And so we right away decided to take everyone to Jordan. We knew that the airport gonna close down. We knew that airlines are likely to cancel their tickets. And we advised all our travelers, look, if you have a flight now, go to the airport. Otherwise, you go into Jordan, you're changing your flight from Jordan. And within a day or two, all our travelers were in Jordan, all were safe, were able to change their tickets, were able to fly home from Jordan. Many other tourists were stuck. Some tours continued to tour, which I found really hard to comprehend. But I also understand, I have to say, I mean, we've suffered in the tourism industry significantly in COVID. And so some tour companies didn't know what to do. They don't want to lose more money. But it was hard. I'm very happy that at least we got everyone out safe.
Aziz, I'm going to put a link up at the end of this film of this interview for people to have a look at the news coverage you're providing on your own channel, on what we used to know as Twitter, now known as X. I'll put that up. But you're also fundraising, and I'm interested in that. How's that going, the fundraising you're doing? What are you doing it for? How are you spending the money? And what kind of people are donating?
We decided to do this fundraiser as a way to support the communities we know, the communities we work with. And that means people in Israel, Jews, Bedouins, foreign workers, which, by the way, is a one group no one seems to care about. Yeah. And then in the Palestinian side, villages, especially in what's called Area C, where they completely under direct control of the Israeli military. They have shortage of supplies. And yeah, we want to help everyone regardless. We want to help also people we have direct access to, because that's the needs we are aware of, and working with a few local organizations on making that happen. We send the fundraiser to our former travelers. We sent it yesterday. We already at $7,000-8,000, I think, last I checked. We are hoping to at least raise $25,000. And the people donating are our former travelers, like I say, Muslims, Jews, Christians, just different travelers who realizing, and this is the message we've been sending, is that we cannot see this as us versus them. We cannot lose our humanity in the moments of tragedy. We cannot make it who's the guys I'm going to cheer for and who's the guys I want to die. And since we're talking about travel, there's a very powerful poem that has helped me during this dark times that mentioned travel. It's actually called Travel Tickets, and it's by a Palestinian author named Samih Al-Qasim. It's pretty dark but powerful. He says, "The day I'm killed, my killer will find travel tickets in my pocket. One to peace, one to fields and rain, and one to the conscience of a humankind. I beg you, do not stay and waste them. Killer of mine, I beg you to use them. Travel."
That is powerful.
And this is what we saying to our communities. This is time where we are very hurt, very angry, very fearful, but let us not let fear, anger, and hatred penetrate our hearts, decide decisions for us, make us fall for these things, and instead let us travel, like Samih Al-Qasim said.
Aziz, thank you for taking time out at this really difficult time to talk with me. And we'll put up a link to that poem and the other one you mentioned earlier on the page at the end of this video. Thank you so much. I wish you well, and I very much admire what you're doing.
Thank you, my friend.